With the 4th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, Ohio State.
Well, a Maserati is about to hit the showroom floor here in the Motor City. Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the more talented quarterbacks ever at Ohio State, hugging his head coach Ryan Day as he makes his way out here on a draft night to go to Arizona and become the prime target for Kyler Murray in the NFC West.
I'm all for trading down and getting depth, but I'm more into getting dudes. You have your depth, I'll take my dudes. This is a big-time playmaker. They need blue-chip difference makers on this roster for the Arizona Cardinals. There aren't many. And Kyler Murray is grinning from ear to ear. He has a #1 wide receiver, and not 2 years from now, 3 years from now. This is a #1 wide receiver this year. He's going to be ready to roll right when he gets on the field.
On the whiteboard, it's X's and O's, right, Joel?
That's right.
This is an X that comes to life and is an X factor. And Kyler Murray has to have this guy in order to get this offense going. The organization says Kyler Murray's our quarterback. Give him some people that give him a chance to make those plays. Marvin Harrison doesn't. By the way, he didn't run the 40. He didn't do the combine.
Didn't need to.
Why? He was training to be a football player.
That's exactly right, and that's what he is. Let me take you guys back a couple of years. You guys all know how many Ohio State games that Gus and I call, right? I mean,
all of them. I think you did all of them.
That might be actually accurate.
I think you missed the Youngstown State game. That's about it.
You know, we do our best, CD. There's no doubt. You even throw out the Maserati, Rich. You know, so
that's a shout out. Shout out to Gus.
You've been listening. That's
By
right.
the way, Gus is from the D.
So, guys, 3 years ago, he's a true freshman that's having a hard time breaking into the wide receiver room because it's Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I would ask those guys amongst the three of them, hey, who's the best among the three of you? And they would all look at me and say, oh, no. He's the best one. Marvin Harrison Jr., who wasn't even on the field yet. He proved it in that Rose Bowl, you remember, against Utah as a true freshman. And he's been the best receiver in college football ever since.
The highest drafted wide receiver for Arizona since drafting Larry Fitzgerald 3rd overall in 2004. Welcome to Prime.
And the thing that you like about Marvin Harrison Jr. is he can work all 3 levels as well. So there's really nothing that he can't do. He is a rock-solid player, Bucky, and he's a player to me that this pick, I'm really glad that Monty Ossenfort didn't get cute and try to trade back, because at some point, don't pass up on great players.
Don't pass
players over picks in this one.
Yeah, players over picks. And going all the way back, the match with this franchise made a lot of sense because, to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. was very similar to Larry Fitzgerald when Larry Fitzgerald was coming out, meaning he was a pro's pro from day one. Polished route runner, great ball skills and pass catching ability, just has an ability to man the position like a #1. He is everything that you look for in a wide receiver 1, and I think he's going to have a lot of success at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the yards after the catch, something that we saw often from him in Columbus. I mean, look at the smoothness in the top of the routes. I mean, that's where that craft comes in, right, Buck?
He has it. And when you have a dad that is a gold jacket guy, a Hall of Famer, just imagine what those conversations have been like since he's been little, since he's first started playing the game. He has all of that stuff. And I think the advantage that he may have on others, when he steps into the NFL facility, it won't be too big for him. He knows what it's going to be like. He knows what he's stepping into. That matters.
I've kind of said it. He's got a lot of that smoothness and body control that we saw from his dad, but in a much bigger frame. I had a chance to watch him twice in person. First time I saw him in person, he made arguably the greatest catch I've ever seen in a college football game, and it was on like an out route or an out-breaking route on the sideline where he got like the foot you wouldn't expect to come down inbounds, just inbounds. I didn't believe it when I saw it. It was so ridiculous. But those are the types of plays that he made week in and week out in Columbus there for the Buckeyes. And, I mean, just an absolute stud of a player. You know, you hear and you talk to people inside their building, and they're like, he is a worker like you wouldn't believe. He's not involved. In fact, I mean, his dad was saying, you need to get in there and complain for the ball more. Yes. That's not his style. He's not the diva.
No, that's not his style. And you know, I've heard the knock against him that Malik Neighbors has that dog. Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't have as much dog. But the problem is that I have with that is just go watch the tape and just go look at the production. With C.J. Stroud, he had X production, which was exceptional. Yeah. With a much lesser quarterback this year, he had like very similar production. And
1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, almost exact.
Exactly. And you talk a lot about, well, this guy needs a better quarterback, or this guy. Didn't matter who the quarterback is, he's just productive. in 2 losses against Michigan. He had 120 and 118 yards against Jim Harbaugh. They're both losses, but touchdowns in both of them. That just goes to show you that consistency, Buck.
That consistency is there, and people shouldn't question the dog. He had to live up to his dad's name.
You better believe that.
He got everybody's best punch.
They got him that
With the
trade last year.
27th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Darius Robinson, defensive tackle, Missouri.
I was told that they were hunting for interior pass rush in this draft. Darius Robinson's fascinating, Joel, because when you watched him this year, he was out on the edge and he flourished. Previously, he'd been inside. So teams were split on how you use him. Some feel like you play him outside on the edge on those base downs, those early downs, then let him rush inside. But they really want to get some interior pass rush, and I believe that's why Darius Robinson was their guy.
What a great finish to his career. Think about the year that Eli Drinkowitz had with Missouri and culminating in that win over Ohio State in the bowl game. He finishes his career as one of the best players in the SEC. Battled ankle injuries at times during his career. But when you look at this guy, he was voted one of the best players in the Senior Bowl that week down in Mobile. You guys got an up-close and personal seat to what he did down there. I think he helped his draft stock immensely that week.
He certainly did that week in Mobile because of the versatility. DJ had touched on it. Which way do you want to play him? I did not see him as that twitchy, exclusive edge rusher. What we saw in Mobile was him taking on offensive tackles, taking on offensive guards. He rose to the challenge, and every day he got better, and you saw his confidence grow. I think he's a versatile piece moving up and down. I thought Johnny Newton might be a possibility there for Arizona as well.
Yeah. And that's the last player out of the green room as well. So there's nobody that's going to be sticking around or thinking about what tomorrow might bring. Darius Robinson means we're closing up shop. All 13 players in the green room have hit the stage tonight.
Well, this is a lot of the stuff we've talked about here. He's been a big edge, but can also kick inside. The Senior Bowl was really something that elevated his stock. It also started to elicit some comparisons. Could this be a Cam Jordan type player in that big frame that you can use on the edge? Very physical against the run. Takes on blocks. You can't really move him. He's got range to be able to really chase guys and chase them all over the field, not only as a pass rusher, but also against the run. There's that push-pull. You'll see it. You'll see it over and over and over again. He'll push a guy out. He'll pull him and swim him. That's against Guyton, the tackle. We'll see his name called here pretty soon from Oklahoma. There he is, kicked inside and showing you that interior pass rush. So a fun, versatile chess piece here along the defensive front for the Cardinals, Rich.
Talking with some of his teammates real quick, Rich, at Mizzou, they said that he made everything go. They raved about his leadership there in the Mizzou locker room.
And there you go. All right, Lance, take us through Darius Robinson, big player that you could really kind of group anywhere as an edge player or as an interior type of player along the D-line.
Darius Robinson, you have to go back and watch 2022 as well because he was a defensive tackle there. He is a great-looking player physically. Long arms, he's well-muscled, not a lot of body fat, trimmed down into about the 285 range, played out at defensive end this year. You know, he's not a natural defensive end type rusher, but if you reduce him down into defensive tackle, oh, he's got that ability. He's a good athlete, but most importantly, he's got the even front, odd front flexibility. And Bucky, you can talk about that. In this era of hybrid football, the ability to change up where you're playing a guy, whether he's a 5 technique, if he's a base end, if he is down as a 3 technique, or maybe even lining up right there as a 1 technique because you think he's too quick for the guys in the interior. Players like Darius Robinson, who used to be tweeners, are now hybrid flexibility guys.
Yeah, hybrid flexibility is what he brings to the table. He is someone who spent most of his career as a defensive tackle before kicking outside to end this year. We see the pass rush ability, but really what I like about him is, to me, he's a solid base end, meaning he's going to be really good against the run. He can give you the pass rush ability, but he's more of a complement than the guy that is the tone setter on the edges, but a really good football player, high motor intensity. He brings a lot to the table.
Todd Bowles is going to like him a lot. Not Todd Bowles, but
Arizona.
Arizona's going to like him a lot because he's a tone setter. He's a very physical player, and
John Buchanan's going to love him.
Yeah, and they're trying to find core players right now. Arizona's roster, when you look at it, I mean, there's holes all over the place, and they do have a lot of different draft picks. But this is a physical player who is a tone setter that you're getting in the first round. It helps that he plays 2 different positions from a football standpoint, but every new coach, every new regime, every time you're trying to build, you want to build toughness in the trenches. and he's a toughness in the trench type player.
With the 43rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Max Melton, defensive back, Rutgers.
There's another defensive back.
Yeah, if you want your defensive back, you better go get him because they are running off the board here. Speaking of running, Max Melton, ultra twitched up and explosive. You go back to his workout, ran 4.39, jumped 40.5 inches with an 11.4 broad jump. So the athleticism is all there. The ball skills, you see him here lean back into the wide receiver and go ahead and finish that with an interception down the field. Off coverage, plant and drive. This is, again, you see that burst, the explosiveness once he gets his foot in the ground and goes. And you don't play at Rutgers unless you're tough. He is a very tough physical player. He's a little bit raw, guys. There's moments, you saw it the Michigan game against Roman Wilson, struggle a little bit there. But man, he has got so much ability in his body. He's only going to get better.
Can play inside and out. That toughness is because of his head coach at Rutgers, Greg Schiano, who's got an outstanding track record of developing defensive backs, and he's got great ball production. 8 interceptions, 30 pass breakups in his career.
You called it there, Bucky. Big Leonard Davis is the announcer of the pick, and Max Melton, had a nice Senior Bowl week, goes to the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is a really solid player, really impressive throughout the process. When you watch him at the Senior Bowl, you love the competitiveness, the feistiness that he played with. Then you go back and watch his tape from Rutgers, and you just see this guy make play after play after play. And what I loved about him is just his willingness to challenge receivers on the perimeter. Not afraid to go nose-to-nose, bump and run, but can play from off. Just a competitive stamina that he showed, being able to take on that number one receiver, I think is going to serve him well when he steps into the NFC West.
He's a great tester, tested really, really well at the Combine, which I think pushed his stock up. When you watch him on tape, you watch him at the Senior Bowl, what stands out is the way that he competes. Like, he is very aggressive. Everything he does, he doesn't always win the reps. Like, you'll see him lose and he makes some mistakes. He gets a little inefficient. He kind of plays a little extra energy sometimes that can do him in from time to time. But never going to see a lack of effort, and he's always going to play with a great motor. So this is a really, really fun pick because he's such a high motor, traitsy player.
With the 66th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Trey Benson, running back, Florida State.
So the third round with pick 2 leads to only the third running back taken in this draft. Second running back taken, in this draft.
And I do believe we're going to see a bunch of these guys end up coming off the board before we get done tonight. Trey Benson, height, weight, speed, very explosive. There's some big hitter home run plays with him, especially in this Virginia Tech game where he absolutely went off. It was kind of odd. He only had one 100-yard game. It was actually that 200-yard game. But with the opportunities he was given, you see the explosiveness. It shows up in his yards per carry. There's also the physicality there. There's elements of Breece Hall to some of the things you see in his game, including after the catch, that burst once he gets out into the open field for a bigger back, CD.
I'm glad you teed it up that way because my comp for him,
What you got?
Breece Hall.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. So I'm thinking along with you. So when you take a look at Trey Benson, the things that Daniel was talking about with him, being able to make those home run hitting type of plays, as well as beat you up at the line of scrimmage running inside if necessary. But there's that burst. There's that juice when the hole opens. No hesitation. Right into it. And he gets into the end zone against Pitt. Look at what Breece Hall did. This was Breece Hall's first year. Boom. Off he goes. Taking off and maneuvering and going. And if he's going to hit top speed again this year, talk about Breece Hall, Joel, because the knee's going to be okay. But the way the Cardinals want to play with Drew Petzing as their offensive coordinator, they actually ran San Francisco into a lot of question marks going into the playoffs. In a late season game at Arizona, James Conner did damage that day. He'll be able to pair with Trey Benson now.
With the 71st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Isaiah Adams, guard, University of Illinois.
Yeah, Isaiah Adams, 25 starts. He's played guard. He's also played right tackle. He has some power in the run game. You'll see him move people, particularly on down blocks. You'll see him able to uproot you and move you. In pass protection, I thought there were some issues where he sets a little too deep at times. He struggled out there at right tackle in the Penn State game. but playing inside, I think you cover him up. He's more comfortable in there, and that's where his future lies, Joel.
Long road to this point. Started out in Ontario in college football, then went to a community college, Garden City Community College, then Illinois. Started every game the last couple of years, worked himself into a team captain. This guy can play.
With the 82nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Reiman, tight end, Illinois.
All right, this is your guy, Peter Schrager. Go for it.
This is my favorite player in the NFL Draft. I said before the Combine, whichever team drafts Reiman will win the Super Bowl this year. So Arizona Cardinals are going to the bowl and they're winning. It's my favorite player, one of the best personalities in this draft, and just an absolute physical beast. Didn't have the catches, didn't have the stats. Academic All-American. What I love the most is I speak to teams at the Combine. They're like, this guy was incredible in the interviews. He famously said that he does not believe in birds. Okay, well, he's going to the Cardinals, which will make it very complicated.
Yes, it will.
But he is an incredible athlete. And when he's in those interview processes, he said, look, I will play tight end, I will play fullback, I will play H-back, I will play special teams. Put me anywhere. I just want to play a role. Reiman, my favorite player at the Combine and my favorite player in this draft. And now the Reiman section of the program is over. Guys, take it away.
There you go. Very good.
I just want to know, can he play left tackle?
He's headed that way.
Big man, and I'm telling you, with that footwork and the ability to move things, when we watched him at the Combine, you guys remember all the tight ends having to block against the sled? Ordinarily, what happens is you block it, and then they rise it up. What you're trying to do is flat back it and move it along the ground. Reiman was one of the few guys that moved it along the ground. His technique was flawless.
And we'll hear who it is and then take a look writ large at what they've done.
With the 90th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Elijah Jones, defensive back, Boston College.
Well, this is, I know they have the dollar store. Apparently we're at the nickel store right now because it's just one nickel after another coming off the board. 5 interceptions last year at Boston College. Really, really quick feet. You'll see that in his pedal. The stop-start quickness is big time. It's impressive. I didn't think he was quite as fluid as some of these other nickel corners that we've seen come off the board. Some of those switch routes, the communication can get a little bit of miss just in terms of being able to be on the same page with the guys in the secondary. But the effort is there, the speed is there. There's a lot to work with here for the Arizona Cardinals and Elijah Jones.
So, by the way, that was a 3rd-round selection that they got last year when the Texans moved up to 3 overall to take Will Anderson.
With the 104th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft of the Arizona Cardinals select
Dadrion Taylor-Demerson, defensive back, Texas Tech.
A big-time playmaker here. They've added some speed and playmaking ability in the back end in the draft. This is a center fielder. The production is excellent. 4 interceptions this year. Very rangy and also has that ability, CD, you were referencing it, to be able to do multiple things. You can drop him inside. He can play in the nickel as well. So when you have that 4.41 speed, you have the ability to make plays on the football, and you have the versatility. That's a nice chess piece there, Peter, when you're looking at trying to upgrade a defense that, as you look at the stats from last year, 31st in points per game, last in 3rd down, 30th in sacks, 27th in takeaways. They weren't good. They weren't good.
They were not good. And if you look at who their head coach is, it's JG, who's not only a defensive coach, he was a defensive backs coach for a long time. So when you see these picks of Melton and Jones and now Taylor-Demerson, I would assume the head coach has a very big voice in that, as he is a defensive back expert. And this is an area of need on the Cardinals roster.
And think about your division, what you have to do with these defensive backs. You add him into the safety spot, you got Jalen Thompson, Buda Baker. But we play a lot of 3 safety looks now in the NFL.
With the 138th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Xavier Thomas, linebacker, Clemson.
Xavier Thomas from Clemson. You know, he's somebody that when you watch, he was a 5-star recruit when he came in, a little bit up and down. The testing numbers were okay, but he's got a lot of experience. He is one of those 6-year seniors. He's played 6 years as a 5-star recruit at Clemson. He's an edge defender who is very tenacious. He is very motor-driven. He's got good first-step quickness, and he gets to the top of the rush and can win with the 2-hand swipe. That's kind of one of the areas that he really attacks the pocket. I think in terms of stopping the run, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. I talked to a team today who was trying to get a feel for where he could go because they were hoping that they could find him in the 5th round, and that team was not the Arizona Cardinals. But so unfortunately, they're not going to be very happy. But it was a team to play some 3-4, and that's what Arizona, they needed an edge defender. They get an edge defender. I think he is a rotational pass rusher with a chance to become a little bit more than a rotational pass rusher because he's been on the rise, but it's been a 6-year journey, and sometimes you play your best football after 6 years. That's just the way it goes.
With the 162nd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Christian Jones, tackle, Texas.
How many offensive line picks is this now for us for Arizona? We're building our offensive line. Let me tell you about him. I'll tell you about him first, and we can talk about what they've done so far. He's a long tackle. He was one of the guys I believe that Tom Herman brought in. He brought in some good-looking 4-star players, had the height, weight, speed, length. Christian Jones is a little bit limited in terms of how he's going to range in pass protection, but he tested better than expected. He is physical, getting downhill as a blocker, needs to drop the pad level just a little bit. But what Christian Jones does is he's gritty when it comes to sustaining blocks. He's got strong hands, can hang on a little bit longer, and I think that I saw some real improvement in his game this year, so it kind of makes me wonder if there's room for even more improvement. I do think there's going to be some limitations athletically about certain blocks he can make, but I always get excited when I see growth from a tackle position. Look at that. I mean, Look, he's carrying you all the way down the field, so I like that kind of sustain. That's a grit and attitude movement, and that's block finishing, which we love.
We know that Kyler Murray likes to dance around in the pocket a bit, and to kind of that little bootleg can come back, and it's bootleg to the left. Long story short is the run plays and the extended blocks, he projects well for a team that uses those. So he would be less valuable to a team that threw the ball really, really fast, like a Tua, right, where you just quick time of release, and better for a team where there's a little bit more dancy pants.
The only concern I have is I think he's right tackle only.
With the 191st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Tejhaun Palmer, receiver, Alabama-Birmingham. Let's go, Bird Gang!
Bird Gang indeed. Tejhaun Palmer has a little hamstring injury, so I don't believe he is able to run and put a 40 down, but that's okay. You've got GPS numbers and computer vision that you can get in there and get his numbers. He's got the NFL body type, proportional length. Yeah, he'll take the lick. He'll take the licking and keep on ticking. That's old school if you know that one. Expansive catch radius. He's capable of working the slot as a zone beater as well, as you see right here. We'll give you a little, well, that wasn't a slot move, but he can come back and go get the football. He's very competitive after the catch with the run and drag strength. So once he catches it, he's going to drag you along.
With the 226th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft,
The Arizona Cardinals select Jaden Davis, defensive back, Miami.
So the Arizona Cardinals now focusing in on another defensive player. Keep in mind, 12 total picks for this Arizona squad, trying to fill a lot of holes. I think there's going to be some fans that rock that uniform that cannot wait to see some of these players out on the field. But anything that pops on the tape when you guys studied?
Yeah, so I'll talk a big picture about the Arizona Cardinals. I think Monty Ossenford and Jonathan Gannon have really done a good job of kind of rebooting the culture down in the desert. The players that they've taken, you talk about high-end players, guys that have come from big schools, guys who have the necessary traits, like the prototypical traits, they've done that. To listen to MJD talk about, ooh, the Cardinals are coming. Just in terms of the way that they have been drafting, the players that they've talked about. We talked about the first 2 days, what they've assembled. They've just continued to put good players in the locker room, and that will give them a chance to kind of get out.